thank you so much for talking to us.
No worries.
This music is pumping. We're on the TAG Heuer super yacht. It is the day before another Grand Prix. How do you feel?
I feel quite good. Of course, I live here, so it's a bit funny to see the difference. It's quite hectic, of course, throughout the weekend. It's always fun, to be here.
Good. Now, look, I've got a funny watch question to start. What's the first thing that enters your mind when you see a man wearing two watches?
That probably you got one gifted today.
He knows. How do you know that? But if I told you you could take one and run, which one do you take out of these two?
Well, I already have this one, so I'll take this one.
Okay. That was settled quickly. Now, I do have a question about the nostalgia of car racing, because you didn't choose the classic, but are you a student of the great drivers of all time? Like, do you love to analyse drivers before your time?
To be honest, I look at it, but I always said to myself, it's good to look at it, but I think you have to always try and be yourself, because if you try to copy people, you can never be better or the same. So it's important to have your own identity, I think.
Now tell me, when you finally got there, did becoming world champion feel like you thought it would?
It's difficult to really put a feeling to it before you even won it, right? So I never really thought about it too much, how it would be, or how it would feel. But of course, it was a very long and intensive season. So once, of course, everything was done and the championship was decided, it was also a bit of a relief, because I was like, finally I can rest a bit and just have a bit of time off. But of course, at the time, I was also like, okay, I've achieved my life goal in racing, and that was also really, just a really nice feeling.
Yeah. Tell me, how much has Drive to Survive changed being a Formula One driver?
Well, for me, not so much, but I think it's more for the fans, They get more of an insight, and I think it really pushed the sport to another level, especially in America, but I think in general, the popularity, and I think that's great. Normally, of course, you only see what you see now at the track and then it's all about a bit of media stuff around it, but you don't really get the insights of during a really hectic weekend things that has been said, and I think, Drive to Survive definitely gives you that a bit more.
Is the competition more savage, less savage, or spot on in terms of when you watch the show? Do you think to yourself, man, it's much worse than that, or what do you feel?
Less. It's dramatized, of course, to make it like most series are. Like they are. I think in general, all the drivers, they got on really well, and we have a good relationship. Of course, sometimes you touch on the track and you have disagreements, but I think overall, we are racing drivers. We also forget things very easily, and we just move on. So.
Yeah. Now, I interviewed Federer, and he said that without Nadal, he would have half his championships. Do you credit Lewis Hamilton with lifting you to another level?
I don't know. For sure, there's a bit of this competitive where you push yourself maybe even more to the edge, but I think it was always important. That's what my dad also taught me. You don't need anyone else, to push yourself to the limit. You should always push yourself and ask yourself, how can I be better? How can I do better? And that's how I grew up. So I don't think that anyone has pushed me to another level. But of course, when you have amazing and great competition, you might find half a 10 more or whatever, but you always try, or at least I try, to find that half a 10 by myself, by just keep questioning how can I do things different, or how can I actually improve. That should be, I think, the main target.
If someone said to you, Max, you are a guy that just seems to have an unbelievable skill for getting in the zone, how do you do it? Do you ever give people advice about how to get into that state where you're just no distractions? Because it's a world of distractions.
Yeah, I find it really tough to give people advice, because everyone is different, everyone grew up different. So what might work for me might not work for others, So I never really like to give people advice, because I'm like, well, it works for me, but that's it, right? It might not work for the person I'm actually talking to about how I prepare and stuff. So,
process.
My process, it's just how I worked with my dad back in the day. I enjoy what I do, but at the end of the day, of course, F1 is only a short part of your life, hopefully. And there are many also other things around in life which I want to enjoy. So, people sometimes let what happens in F1 really influence their private life, and I think that's wrong, because what happens on the track, you should try and really minimize to affect your private life, because that for me is a different life, and I really try to separate it. And for me it works. Like even if you have a bad day, today for me, for example, was not a great day, but I'm like, it's not the end of the world. we live to fight another day, and we try to do better, try to learn from it, and try to improve. And it's still a very long season as well, so you might be upset, but you should never carry that back home.
He doesn't look upset at all.
I'm relaxed. I mean, like I said before, I've achieved my life goal. Everything, what comes next is a bonus. That doesn't mean that what happened today, I'm still not happy about it. I want to be better and I want to improve, but it's not going to affect my life or change my life.
Now, does your brain go into overdrive when you're in the second row tomorrow? Do you just think, does it change everything about the way you're thinking and the way that you'll sort of go through the race tonight?
Not so much. It's all about scoring points. Of course, I would have loved to be a bit further up the road, but it's such a long season that it's not only what happens here in Monaco is going to define what is going to be the end result, right? So I just want to get out of here with good points.
Yeah. And do you feel more settled in your home? Like, for us, this is always a novelty, and it seems like a crazy city to live in.
Well, during the Grand Prix, it is a crazy city to live in. Yeah,
but the rest of the time?
The rest of the time, it's amazing. I like it. It's a good quality of life. Honestly, of course, now there are so many people, but I live on the other side. But, you know, of course, if I'm going to walk around the casino, you might get disturbed a bit with tourists, but you can have an amazing evening, you know, on this side of Monaco, on the other side, you can have nice dinners, you can be on the boat, but it's a lot more relaxed, of course, than what you see at the moment.
Yeah.
And I like it, you know, Saint-Tropez is very close, Italy is even very close, you know, so you can go both sides and have a great time.
Oh, I'd love to do that one day. Tell me, now watches are, obviously they've been sort of milestones of your career. Do you attach memories to some of the watches in your collection from moments in your life?
Well, I think especially last year where I got gifted a TAG Heuer Monaco as well. For me, that was a bit of a lucky charm, I guess, throughout the year. So I've basically worn it, you know, since I got it for the rest of the season in F1. So yeah, that was a nice one and something I will remember.
You seem like a really pragmatic, practical person. Why do we wear watches with technology from the 17th century? Like, why do we still wear these things? We've got better options.
I don't know if it's better, it's just different. I like to look at a watch. I think, you know, it's all about the shapes and the feeling of actually wearing something and having a bit of weight around your wrist as well. Of course, you can look on your phone and see the time, but that's a bit boring, right? You want to have something look cool. Why do we wear bracelets or necklaces, or, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
Same thing.
Last question, the shape of this watch is different. Does that appeal to you? Does this
Yeah,
get
it's
worn?
iconic. It's really related to Monaco, right? So even that one I think is beautiful. My manager has that one.
Yeah.
And I've seen it many times, and I think it's an amazing watch.
Great, that way you covered off both. Max Verstappen,
Yeah.
you're the world champion, you took time for us, I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you.